welcome, dear explorers. Fantastic to be able to share some insight into Greenland, Arctic Canada, and the Northwest Passage. I'm joined here by my dear friends and colleagues. We have
Karin Strand. No. Verena Meraldi.
And
no, I'm Karin Strand.
We're very confused. We're not allowed out very much together, but we are on board MS Roald Amundsen on a Antarctic Falkland Islands trip, and today we are in Stanley, Falkland Islands. We've had an incredible trip, amazing weather, incredible wildlife sightings, so absolutely brilliant to be here. And we, I dare I say it, maybe I jinx it, but we are broadcasting from the ship in the hotel manager's office, which is like a sauna, so it doesn't feel like we're in the South Atlantic at all. We're joined behind the scenes by a big team. Some here featured on the slide coming up. Alice, Ollie, we've got Jono, we've got Sophie, we've got Jan, we've got Tony, plus more. So if you do have questions, as Lee said, please put them in the chat box. And the common themes, we will ask Ollie to be question master at the end. Any HX voyage, we build around that adventure, comfort, and also sustainability. Those are our core pillars and very much dear to us. So mixing those together, and hopefully through this presentation, those elements will come out. We are an old expedition company. Our roots date back to 1896. So coming up is our 130th year. So we have some incredible offers coming up for that as well. Never a better time to sail with us. We have a very full science and education program made for our curious travelers. And those with a more mindful approach to sustainability, as we mentioned before, is really, really, really important to us. Our ships are very much state-of-the-art expedition ships. Our two larger, newer ships, MS Fridtjof Nansen and Roald Amundsen, voted the most sustainable cruise ships in the fleet, hybrid powered, and also MS Fram, now coming up to almost 20 years old. Karin was part of the build program there, and our first EL part of there on Fram. Fram is currently in South Georgia. MS Spitsbergen operates in the Arctic, so we'll be talking a lot about her for these itineraries. We also have one more ship not featured here, MS Santa Cruz 2, which operates in the Galapagos. The onboard feel for our ships is very much a relaxed Scandinavian feel, so we'll just give you a little flavour of these are our suites and our staterooms, but yeah, it's really, really comfortable and providing everything you need for one of these itineraries. So yeah, lots to see there. We have multiple dining options on our ships. Fram with Auna and Lindstrom on our bigger ships. We have also an a Fredheim, which is a sort of street food diner. And on Spitsbergen, we have Brigger, which is a new concept. So lots of options for you to really have an amazing time on the food and also beverage side of things. All our sailings are all-inclusive. So we provide everything you need without having to dip your hand in your pocket. We do have optional extras, of course, premium spirits, or be excursions and activities with our partners ashore, and also kayaking and those type of things. All our trips, what is expedition cruising? Those that may be new to expedition cruising, in a real short summary, we take you to places you can't get any other way. And we use our fleet of small Zodiac or inflatable boats to take you ashore, to take you cruising, to do science boats, to really give you that immersive experience in the places we go. On board, we have an expedition team. These team of professionals, which I'll ask Karin to give a little bit of insight into our expedition team.
Yeah, so our expedition teams are hand-picked people that have different skill sets. There is a team that takes care of activities, and there are a large team that have a science background. So it ranges from 13 on Spitz to 15 on Fram to 21, 22 on board our larger vessels. So they help our guests to get their educational portion of the voyage in addition to the activities.
And talking of education, Verena, our chief scientist, tell us a little bit about our science and education program?
Well, our science and education program was designed not only to support research by offering our ships as platforms of opportunity, but also to allow our guests to get an immersive educational experience while traveling with us. We do not offer just the typical lecture. We like to offer multiple learning opportunities. So the lectures are accompanied by workshops and hands-on activities on our science center that we have populated with a combination of microscopes, museum-type exhibits. We also invite you to help us do wildlife spotting from deck. So there is always something educational or science related while you are on board. We also encourage our guests to participate in a number of cities and science projects. This is super important. We are helping collect data in very remote areas where we operate throughout long periods of time. And in order to do that, we share with our guests a number of QR codes that they can use to download the applications that are shown in the next slide, so that they can be prepared for when they arrive on the ship and be real participants, not only observers.
Fantastic. And in fact, we've just had some, I know we're in the South Atlantic, but we've had the government of South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands, their officers on board, and we took them to the Science Centre here on Armonton, and it was hard to get them out.
Yes.
Because they loved it so much and the opportunities. Of course, the science and education is very much part of our DNA and our structure of enabling you, our guests, to understand the areas we sail more. But we do that also through plenty of activities and experiences. I'll ask Karin to talk about these.
So we have a number of off-ship activities. I mean, the core of them all is the landings where you go ashore. And then we use, as Tudor mentioned, the small boats in order to give you a little bit of a different, wider perspective of the area. So you kind of have that dualism to a day of an area, from the waterside and from shore. And then you can kind of sprinkle on a few other activities that are optional, and those are especially in the Arctic. We have longer hikes. In the Antarctic there are hikes, but they are of a smaller nature. Community visits, of course, is also part of the landing core experience. And then we have we also have a kayak program, which is quite extensive. It's starting to become after a while, and we have just launched a new portion of that here in Antarctica. We'll pull that onto the Arctic as well, so there are more chances of you, if you are keen to experience a kayak trip. Polar plunge also is something we do either from shore or from the ship, and the ship-based polar plunge is increasingly more popular than we actually thought. And then, of course, in the Arctic, there are people living in the Arctic, opposed to where we are right now, or at least in the Antarctic. So local excursions and cooperating with the local communities and the local suppliers is very, very important, and they give a different dimension.
Massively. So we've taken in lots of your feedback from those of you who have seen us on webinars before. And the cardinal sin we are doing is talking about a few different areas. So we have got a lot of pictures and talking about the areas for you. The trade-off of that is we're going to have to go pretty quick, because we've got to stick to our time allowance, and you're very thankful for you to give us your time. The focus area really for this webinar is Baffin Bay, with Greenland to its east and Canada to its west. So we're going to be talking about these different areas and the different highlights. Greenland is absolutely massive, and this area is extensive in its nature and variety. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Northwest Passage and then Arctic Canada, and then we're going to go through and do a sort of deeper dive into Greenland. There are a lot of similarities, so we will be referring back to these areas, but the aim is to go through that. So we're trying to take back what you told us and do the best we can to explain to you. Okay, so into the Northwest Passage. The Northwest Passage is this really fabled sea route. This is the This is the route of Amundsen when his first complete crossing, which took him 2.5 years. It's got its steeped history in Franklin, in all these Barrow, all these British expeditions that went there and never came back, and the mapping, but of course also working with the communities. So as we go through there, and Ollie's driving the deck, so I'm trying to push him on to the next slide. Here we go. So here we are, the British Navy, their interactions with the local communities. On our sailings through the Northwest Passage, we do 2 sailings. We do one east to west and one west to east. So they're kind of mirror images. So we give those people the option for doing extras in Alaska before or after, and also in Greenland. We call the Northwest Passage, but actually it's a series of different channels and routes, as you can definitely see in the eastern side of the Canadian archipelago. And we've tried to put now in the next slide some sort of composite pictures of the different feel for these different areas. And Karin, you've been to these areas lots. Tell us a bit about anyway, real life. Tell us a little bit about the sort of feel for the Eastern Arctic.
Yeah, so the eastern portion is, I would say, have the mountainous landscape that we kind of mirror to the Arctic and elsewhere in Greenland as well. As you move west, it becomes very flat as far as you can see what the ice has done to the landscape, and the ice caps have basically just eroded it down, and there sits the geologist down the way. But it's very clear. So you go from mountainous to very, very flat landscape, a little bit like, I would say, there's mirror to a little bit Nordøstlandet in Svalbard. Yeah. So if you've been there are some similarities there. Yeah.
And in terms of wildlife in the whole of sort of Arctic Canada, we sort of under the, we're very spoiled. We've just been to Antarctica, and there are these massive bird colonies. There are bird colonies, but they're more sparse. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And so the area in the middle, it's been very approximate saying the middle of Arctic Canada, but around Lancaster Sound and Devon Island, you get more of the channels, you get the challenges of sea ice that Amundsen encountered. We also have the history there with, in the top middle picture is Beechey Island, where the first, the Franklin graves, so part of that, trying to find out what happened to them. So it's very much, this landscape changes slowly as we get there, but then as we go further to the west, we get less of the sort of big hills. We get the sort of lower topography. This middle picture in the top here again is an area called Smoking Hills, where there's this lignite which has been burning. It's a very sacred area for the Inuit. One of the richest things I think here is the communities, and how we work with the communities is very important. So really important, those connections, and our team and some of them in the background of this call, developing those relationships and the community packages and offering that we do when we visit.
I just want to point out that as well for the Inuit population in the northern Canada region and in the Arctic, is that they got the independence, so to speak, or Inuit-owned land 25 years ago. Yep. However, what we're seeing now is that they're taking way more ownership to that land. Yep. So we are really in a transition period on how they would like tourism to kind of develop in this area. I find it really fascinating. We're going into a very exciting time with the Canadian Arctic. Yeah.
And with that, all our operations in the polar regions are very heavily regulated. The biggest part for the Northwest Passage, a full Northwest Passage transit, involves over 80 permissions, permits, notifications for one transit. So we have a team working on that.
Hard for 9 months.
It's a long process. Yeah. This is a picture of Joe Haven. Yeah. Canadians call it Joe Haven. If you're Norwegian, It's Canadians, but anyway, it's been Anglicized. This is where Amundsen spent his winter with the Nestalik Inuit, and this is a monument actually where he camped, and that's our ship MS Roald Amundsen sitting in the back. So we do follow very much on their sort of historic footprints of the route, and that cultural and historic part of the journey, for me, having done it, is really sort of enshrined in me, and sort of feeling how lucky I have been to follow in the footsteps of many explorers. The scenery is breathtaking. You get the mix of in the east with these hills, but also the ice, the people, super warm people, and they're, as Karin said, they're very proud, understandably and quite rightly, of their traditions and history, and we work a lot with them to share. We also have many cultural ambassadors on board to share their experiences and their perspectives, and they also would like to learn from us. So it's very much a two-way conversation.
The sensitivity is very clear.
We aim to visit these 4 different communities, and they're all very different. And I think that's one of the great things, is how different they are, how the cultures and traditions in these places are so different.
Unique.
And the other thing, which it's very hard to tell when we're doing a webinar how tall we are. I'm actually quite tall. Verena and Karin are ordinary, if I call them.
We are.
But I'm Welsh, but Welsh miners tend to be short, so I don't know where the height came into my family. But the Inuits, when I go there, I kind of all think I'm a total freak, because I'm a kind of head and shoulders above them. But the relationships we have with the communities and the kids is brilliant, and really great fun, and we have brilliant interactions and experiences with them. Continuing the theme of Canada and Arctic Canada, there's a lot of similarities here, because some of our itineraries just go into the eastern side of Arctic Canada. And we sort of talk about those and our different itineraries. Baffin Island, again, which we saw at the start, these deep fjords. And Karin, do you want to tell us a bit about Baffin?
Yeah, I mean, we like to kind of start from Ellesmere down, but focusing on Devon and Baffin Island. And again, here comes this alpine landscape that we love so much, and our similarities to East Greenland fjord systems, and it's something of the wildest you can ever imagine as far as nature, and it makes it very difficult to do on your own, if even possible, to a certain degree. And that's why a ship voyage of this kind is, I would say, more or less the only way you can experience this in its grandeur, because it is so majestic.
On all our Canadian Arctic sailings, we have a archaeologist on board. And that bottom picture is obviously tent remains, or from a camp. But part of one of the things that, which is absolutely 100% correct, is making sure there's no disturbance to any cultural remains. And the local communities are very sensitive to that. So anywhere we go is heavily permitted in that respect. And then when we look here, the itineraries that we have operating in this area, we have a Baffin-based circumnavigation, which I think gives a bit of everything in the bits we're talking about and the bits we're going to speak about. And then the Labrador and Newfoundland one to the south, it also really highlights that amazing landscape of the Tongat Mountains all the way down to Newfoundland. In fact, we were chatting yesterday and saying, we need to do both these itineraries together, combine all this area. So if we're allowed out again. Together. In Labrador, there's a very much different feel, but unlike Europe, there's no Gulf Stream. So you get these incredible icebergs going past this area. Again, the top middle picture is Lansom Meadows, which is where Eric the Red, or the Vikings, came across. Where the Vikings took over the world. I'm very proud of Viking. And there's the archaeological remains, and we get to visit those. So it's that transition and following on that itinerary the route of the Vikings and their exploration. But incredible landscape. A very different feel as you go south. It's very much, I would say, more Canadian, but very proud of their heritage. Karin mentioned the Tongat Mountains and the sort of similarities, I would say, with East Greenland. These deep fjord systems, but absolutely stunning. And and you can't get in here any other way other
than
a ship, or a lucky few go by float plane. But amazing.
But then you kind of just
And of course, the national symbol now for these areas is the Inuit cairn, which you find you find all over the place now. So that's brilliant. And we've just got one last slide because there'll be the pictures of the you wanted pictures. So again, what we wanted to show here is the contrast of the landscapes in Arctic Canada, from the high north through to further in the south with these settlements through to the ice terrain.
I remember that day. On the lower right, on the ice. That was in Lancaster Sound. Yeah.
Okay, so we're now going to do a sort of deeper dive into Greenland. Greenland is the biggest island in the world. So in terms of size and the comparison, say with Europe, then we are talking about a massive area. And those contrasts in those areas, and if we were going from North Africa all the way to Norway, you would expect massive change, and we see that in Greenland. It's split up into different areas. The one I want to highlight, or the two northern ones I really want to highlight, Northeast Greenland National Park is immense.
Yes.
Very, very, very few people get to see it, let alone step foot in it. So that is a massive area. And then also on the west coast, the Arctic portion there is absolutely massive again. So going to these areas is really, really special, and we do our best when we take our trips to really give those experiences. When we get to Greenland now, Greenland has opened up with the development of airports. So the gateways, the main gateway we use now for Greenland is Nuuk, the capital of Greenland on the southwest coast. But we can now fly from New York for our guests in America, through Reykjavik, which is now a central hub, and also Copenhagen. So there's opportunities to get in and out of Greenland in many different ways. The next few slides, I wanted to share the diversity of Greenland. We've got some incredible landscapes. Eternity Fjord, we're sailing in there and doing small boat cruising. Stunning. Prince Christiansson in the south, the biggest fjord system. It just dwarfs you when you're sailing through there.
Scoresbysund is the largest fjord system in the world, actually, on the east coast. Eviasfjorden have two main arms. They all have cascading glaciers coming down. And Prince Christiansson is this 8-hour transit through this channel in south Greenland, which is stunning, absolutely stunning. And you could stop there and just stay for days, really.
And that experience, one of going through the ship, all our ships are built outward facing, so the scenery from the ship and ship cruising is incredible. But going in a small boat, going in a kayak in this landscape is just absolutely a whole different experience. So southwest Greenland, which is kind of a little bit neglected, in people don't really think about it. The reason it's Greenland because Eric the Red arrived in a very green.
That's where it got its name.
Yeah. So Ollie, you can flick forward a little bit, and we have incredible. We have sheep farms. We have the history from the Vikings. We have incredible villages and communities like Hakatok.
And Inuit culture, which has stems many thousand years back. So it's absolutely fantastic, and I think from our point of view, southwest Greenland is where we actually see most development happening and most exciting things happening for us as an expedition operator in the next couple of years to come. So I have a few things I'm working on right now, which is going to be groundbreaking and going to be fantastic.
So Karin heads up our expedition development, but one of the things she's passionate about is Greenland. So very much working with that. And another thing which we were talking about, which wasn't necessarily in the script, but there is a script, but it's how the development of arts and crafts and in terms of
yes,
really and that
absolutely.
traditional,
that's
and I
good
think you
sense.
really see that in the south in
Yes.
particular. In West Greenland, thank you for moving us on, Ollie, before we get down a rabbit hole.
Yep.
West Greenland, the Disco Bay area, we really call it, is really famous for the ice fjords in Ilulissat. They've built a cutting-edge museum explaining about the UNESCO World Heritage Ice Fjord, which is absolutely amazing. The icescapes and that mixture again with the cultures and the ice, there's a lot more sort of focus as you go further north, deep fjords, and also immersing in traditional cultures. One of the big things for the Greenlanders is kayaking. Name originates from Greenlandic.
It does, and then when you come to further north in West Greenland, the Greenlandic dog is allowed, because you're not allowed to have Greenlandic dogs in certain areas.
We've got some pictures of the dogs.
We do. So there are cultural differences as you move along the coast.
Then as we move to the northwest, and again, this is the area right up between Canada and Greenland, right at the top. We come a lot more sort of harsher environment. Raw, I would say. Although saying that, we've got the two pictures on the right-hand side are Ilulissat with the ice fjord. But as you go further, Uummannaq, just those cultures.
But it's so barren in a sense.
Exactly.
It's not, but it is.
Yeah.
When you look at it from a distance, not like South Greenland, which has green meadows actually to a certain degree, and here you come rock. It's grey. But it's fantastic. Lots of mosses and lichens that makes it colourful.
You see sort of the different. People think of it as very black and white, but it's not. We mentioned about the sort of the culture and community. That's common across the whole of Arctic Canada, even Alaska, but also and Greenland. That rich cultural mix, and we really develop our mix with those. The Greenlandic Children Fund we've been supporting now for I think 7 years now with the HX Foundation, making sure that supporting their summer camps. So we really not only through our guests invest in the communities, but we also work with those communities. And you can see here the sort of mix of the culture, and also our interactions at certain places. The Greenlanders are mad about football, so we get these incredible football pitches in different Kataswak. There's a pitch. But it's Itinerary.
And Itinerary is one. And then now the latest on the football range of things, or the cup, is in Itinerary. They have this fantastic soccer field there.
And it has become a tradition,
and they always win.
Let
me just say, we never win. So if you come, you have to.
So if you come and if you're a keen footballer, please come on a trip to Greenland with us, because we've never won.
No, we need to win once.
Absolutely, and even if we have 20 players on us, they don't mind. They let us have as many as we want. They still beat us.
They still win.
They love it. What we do try and do is not just visit Greenland, but we try and bring Greenland on board the vessels. So we have cultural ambassadors, so Greenlandic people on board. But we also started last year with a fantastic program with Greenlandic chefs. So the chefs come on board. They work during the season on board, preparing Greenlandic dishes. You were on board with your son last year. What was the feedback?
Oh, my son loved the Greenlandic menu, and it was really amazing because the chefs would come every meal to every table, talk about where they were sourcing what we were eating, and explaining what it takes to cultivate oysters, for example, in such a remote area. And it was an incredible experience, and all of the guests really appreciated that openness.
And we learned a lot as well.
We did as well.
As an operator.
It was like opening a door to the communities as well, to have such an ambassador.
And I think, the naive view is a population of 55,000 people. Food, there's going to be, they're not good, but they're so proud of their food, and whether it be muskox or the local berries, etc., etc. So we really learn a lot from that cultural experience of food. We all love food, so it's been really good. Greenland is our biggest ice cap. in the Northern Hemisphere.
And it is
Correct.
also one of the places that is warming up the fastest on our planet. It's alarming, and supporting science in this area is vital. It is super important to understand the impacts of human-induced climate change. So we do support a lot of research projects there, and hence again the importance of participating in the citizen science projects. These areas are not very regularly visited, especially now that the funds for national programs have been cut. So very proud that we can support research in these areas.
Very true.
And I think, going to these places, we take the responsibility of going to these places really seriously, and being able to, for us, our fellow explorers, to be able to understand the systems and what makes this run, and then how we can adapt when we go home is really important to us.
Give back.
And give back, yeah. As you can see here from the quote from NASA, if that ice cap all melts, 23 feet raise in sea levels. That's a lot of flooding. That's a lot of devastation to the planet as we know it now. Okay, then in terms of wildlife, we see a lot of different things. Karin mentioned the dog.
I mentioned the dog.
North of the Arctic Circle in Greenland, you can only have a purebred husky.
From Sisimiut northwards.
Yeah, so we don't want any Mongols or strays in there. No. We need the purebred husky, because they're still very much the working dog, working animal and transit method in the winter. Verena.
So we do also find other marine mammals, of course, whales, seals, but also terrestrial mammals, like we see here, the muskox, which is an incredibly beautiful beast. Yes, and bird life is also super abundant in Greenland. We see fishing eagles, we see tardigans, we see oyster catchers further south. So it's fulmars, kittiwakes, and all of the beautiful cliff nesting bird species. So yes, it's
the hare and the fox that change colour.
Yes, as well as the tardigan. Tardigan, the hare, and the fox. The three species, they change to a very nice white fur or feathers during winter time.
And then I've got obviously two very good friends next to me, but they're also mad knitters. And whenever we go to Greenland, they go to the wool shop in Nuuk to get muskox wool.
Muskox wool. Yes.
And the muskox wool is like the creme de la creme of insulation.
Absolutely. 4 times warmer than normal sheep's wool or sheep's wool.
4 times lighter.
Lighter, and
10 times the price.
Times the price. So it's so you kind of have to save up a little bit in order to go there, but it's absolutely worth it.
Yes.
And
beautiful.
And that's why you will see, when you go to shops, you will see how many grams have been used when you buy a garment that has been knitted in muskox wool.
Yeah. So it's like the Greenlandic gold almost.
It is. Yes. It's an important for Greenlanders as well as a craft. Yeah. Wonderful tradition.
Yeah. Okay, and then when we are in Greenland, particularly towards, let's say, a little bit later in the season, particularly sort of like August, September, then the light is just stunning. And this landscape, the scale is so hard to come across.
Yeah.
I think in all the polar regions, but in particular Greenland, the scale of the mountains, the height of the ice cap, the depth of the fjords, and when you get an evening like this, I mean, just wow.
And then when you come to September, you also have the opportunity to see northern lights, because that's when the season starts. And we already had it with the last few trips this season. Spitsbergen and Front, they had northern lights in East Green.
Yeah.
And of course, when we do go north of Nuuk, the Arctic Circle is north of Nuuk, then we do get 24 hours daylight during the peak summer season. So you get that tradition. We haven't talked much, but kind of on purpose, about East Greenland, because it's a whole sort of different area. And it is, we talked a bit about the start, but the geology, the rawness of East Greenland is absolutely incredible. You've got the whole history there, like a book right there in the cliff. It's absolutely stunning. But the scale.
And it's also Karin's personal favorite place on Earth.
Everywhere we go.
Yeah. We also, Karin mentioned at the start, in Greenland we do a lot more extensive hikes.
Yes.
And that's very much part of our program. and you can get, they're very much, this is a sort of typical.
This is a very typical landscape you see right here in the picture. There are very, very rarely you go on trails. You go on direction, basically.
There's no trails.
There are no trails, which is a very unique thing to do. And because there are the landscape that has been retreated ice caps or glaciers for a while, there are no trees per se. But you have the boreal landscape still with moss and so forth. But it means it's pretty easy. I mean, for your, I'm a Norwegian, so take my words for what it is. It's easier landscape to hike in. So
it's easier than Norway with the dwarf birch.
It is. Oh, with the birch. Exactly. Yeah. So it's fantastic.
But contrasting this, we also get, as we go further north in the northwest, we get a lot of ice. So we do, if we can do landings on sea ice. So this is a sort of common activity in that area, and also in Arctic,
also in early season east around August,
and also up in Arctic Canada. So it's a pretty special experience to be able to land on the sea ice. And one of the fun things, particularly in Arctic Canada, which the captains hate, is these things move. So they park the ship and they put it, keep the ship in the same place, and all our guests in our team go down.
Just drift. It's a completely controlled environment, so it's gorgeous to be drifting on the ice.
And one last pretty picture, and this kind of sums up a sort of afternoon or early evening light. I think it's Kakatassawak.
This is Kakatassawak. Yes.
With that ice scape and also the sort of traditional buildings. I think these are now tourist lodges. By being able to visit this type of place and just take it all in.
Similar in Ilulissat as well.
Super calm, beautiful conditions there. Yes.
In terms of Greenland itineraries, we have a lot. And we've covered a lot of different ground. But one we just kind of like it to highlight because it covers it all. It's kind of the ultimate trip. I know we're all in the southern hemisphere, and people say, if you're going to do one trip in Antarctica, which one? And we say, Falkland Islands, South Georgia, Antarctica. If you're going to do one trip in Greenland,
this.
So this covers that diverse nature from the south in Nuuk, all the way up through the Arctic into Disco Bay, up to that raw, rugged, but very rich landscape up in Tula and Kanak.
And you get this ice scape, from the time you kind of go a little bit north of Sisimiut and until you're back, you have this ice scape with you all the time.
But you still have that community engagement opportunities that are amazing.
And a similar itinerary is the Disco Bay circumnavigation, where you get a bit from the other side. We also have at the start of the season, generally at the start of the season, a trip doing, or start and end, doing specialising in southern Greenland, so you really get that history and the greenness. And multiple different itineraries, a specialist Disco Bay in and out of Nuuk, and again flights to and from Reykjavik or New York or wherever. We talked about East Greenland. We have Fram going into East Greenland at the start of the East Greenland season, which is actually like August. And then so we have a few trips like that, and then we have some with Spitsbergen slightly later. So we do have multiple itineraries to suit, and also everyone's slightly different. So kind of you need to do them all. But
I don't envy any of you having to choose between them because they are equally amazing. But
and we mentioned we should in terms of the itinerary slides, Ollie. There's the last one of the itinerary slides is the circumnavigation. There are a lot of similarities which we've tried to come across from the Northwest Passage trips to the Canadian Arctic Archipelago, and also all down. So there's a lot of similarities, but this is an absolutely immense, vast area. So there is a lot to choose. It is very rich. The landscapes are incredible. The wildlife really varied. The mix of ice and the culture is outstanding. And that rich culture really, really important. I want to make sure that we leave enough time for questions. But before we get there, then as a thank you for all logging in and listening to us and going down rabbit holes about muskox and world livers and stuff. We do offer an additional 5% off for webinar bookings. So when you call our agents, or then please quote the HX Web events. Alice in the background will share this in the chat. We also have, as it's Black Friday, we have incredible offers which are combinable with this web discount. So you can add up and get a really good deal right now. If you would like to be called by one of our agents, we don't have any live on the line today, but if you do want to speak to one of our agents, please drop your name and phone number with country code in the chat. That does not, everybody cannot see that, so that's private. So within the chat, and we will ask one of our team, our expedition specialists, to call you and talk about the potential trip. No problem at all. We also have, the three of us plus others have, over the last 18 months, been doing a few of these webinars. And we also do pre-departure webinars. They're all out there in public. So if you want to get a more in-depth look at the Northwest Passage, or specifically Greenland or Iceland, Svalbard, or all the destinations we go to, then we do have a YouTube channel that you can look at those. So please have a look at those. But we're excited to have your questions. So we're over to Ollie, our question master. You have all three of us in one place. There's no hiding. This has been really fun, all three of us together.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Fantastic presentation as ever, and broadcasting about the Arctic from the Antarctic. So very strong message there of the three of you in one room in the Antarctic. Love it. Lots of brilliant questions. So thank you everybody for your engagement in the session today. I will cut straight to some of the themes that we've had. One of them was around our larger ships, and in the Northwest Passage in particular, how does everyone get the opportunity to get ashore on the Zodiacs, and how do we deliver that? What's the kind of expedition feel to that? So, Karin, do you want to cover that one, please?
Yes, so the answer is a definite yes for everyone. We have a very carefully made system for making this work, so there is a very little waiting around. You are called by groups, and we maintain a day's planning, so everybody gets time out. And in many of these, for example, in the Arctic, when you are in communities, you are we send everybody ashore at the same time, because it's the opportunistic opportunity or possibility to roam around in the communities and join your chosen excursions with the local provider. So there. But when we do nature landings, we obey by the guidelines we have from IECO, which is 100 people ashore at any given point. Same thing as we do in the Antarctic. So everybody gets to go, yes, of course.
Brilliant. Thank you. Maybe one for Tudor. What level of physical fitness is necessary to participate in Baffin Bay and Greenland itinerary excursions? And I think we had this question kind of more generally for Antarctica and other itineraries that we do, and this is a common question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what is important is we encourage people to go at their own pace. So we don't sort of say, right, you've got to be able to run 100 meters in 15 seconds. So everybody goes at their own pace. But part of being able to do that is, obviously, there's the ships. All our ships have elevators, and we can move around very easily on our ships. To get off the ships, then using Zodiacs, as we've mentioned. So in terms of level of fitness, being able to stand up and sit down on your own is kind of important. But safety is part of our prime concern. So we always have crew members helping you in and out of boats. In terms of the activities, particularly in the Arctic, there are hikes, but if you don't want to do a hike, you don't have to do a hike. If you want to spend more time in town or do a shorter walk around a landing, it's very much about those. But we also try and do lots of Zodiac cruising, which is a great way of seeing things without being sort of super active. So at your pace.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Verena, a question around photography. The muskox is a big draw for the region, and this particular question is around how close we might be able to get to a muskox for a photograph opportunity.
Well, I would suggest you bring a nice zoom. They are very reclusive animals. They do not like to be approached. We do see them in nature landings, but they are also very often up in the mountains. They really are sensitive to people being around.
Yeah.
So, but with a nice lens, the 400 millimeters is very common nowadays. With that, you get nice pictures of the muskox.
Yeah.
And the birds and the whales and seals and everything.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. And a good one for Karin. So this particular person would be very keen to see polar bears, as I know a lot of people will be on the call. Are you more likely to see them in Greenland, Arctic Canada, or in Svalbard?
That's actually a very good question when you are comparing the three. Svalbard, you have a good chance. Greenland, and I'm actually just going to go through the areas.
Yeah.
So
Work your way
Svalbard,
around.
good chance. East Greenland, relatively can be in the Scoresby Sound area, maybe not so much because they're hunted there, and there are local hunters close by. National Park, but I have to say the chance is there, but more on the ice if early in the season. And west Greenland around Karnak, yes, also possibility. Canada, yes. In the Northwest Passage trips, and not maybe so much on the trip where you go from Greenland and down to Newfoundland. No. That trip doesn't have it. But the Baffin Bay, not super much in Torngat Mountain National Park, but there are. We've seen them up in the northern tip there. So yeah, I think that's it. And let me just point out, there is nothing that says guarantee on anything.
No.
And exactly. And there is no bigger chance in any of these areas that I just mentioned there. It's equal.
And on purpose, we took out the pictures of polar bears from the deck.
We did.
Because we didn't want to raise expectations. Of course, it's a big selling point, and everybody wants to see it there. And as Karin said, the chances are high.
Oh, they're high, yeah.
But yeah.
But it's this matter of there are environmental protection rules that are coming in more and more in order to protect these creatures, so to speak, and they will be and a great experience when you see them. And this is something locals are also very keen on saying, is that have this as an add-on to your voyage. Do not make this your primary focus to travel on an Arctic itinerary. Make it as an add-on, not the only reason to travel, because there are so much more with these regions that we've been trying to highlight. That is the reason to go.
Yeah. And also it's like with the muskox, seeing the polar bear in its natural environment with distance, with respect, is the best way to see them.
Exactly.
When you book a trip with us, we will do a pre-departure webinar, but also Ollie's team will provide you with a myriad of information. In all those pre-departure webinars, we say take binoculars, because seeing and being able to see those in the environment, particularly polar bears, muskox, having a good pair of binoculars or a pair of binoculars really enhances your experience.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Great answer. Thank you. There's a few questions around the ice and being able to transit the Northwest Passage. And one gentleman has pointed out that he was on a 2018 voyage where there were some challenges around that. Karin,
Yes,
you
I
may
was there.
remember. Yeah, exactly. So the question is really around permissions, regulations, and ability to change plans last minute due to ice, weather, etc., and how things have changed over the last few years.
I think one of the things to bear in mind, climate change, global warming has had an effect on the Arctic ice in its reduction, but it's also made it more mobile. We're particularly talking about 2018, where it became very mobile and blocked channels.
Very special year.
Very special year.
We haven't had a year.
So historically, the ice breakup in Lancaster Sound in particular happens in mid to late August. And we kind of track that. And also with Amundsen and Nansen, they're Polar Class 6 reinforced vessels. So the chances, if you like, and we do publicise and we say attempt, the chances of doing that now, I think, are greater of making that full transit. We also, in terms of Plan B, we do have to put in permits, and the permits are restricted. We do put in extra sites that we can go to. But then kind of the other smart thing in terms of contingency is being able to switch ships if something did happen. So we do have opportunities now, a lot more than maybe we did back when we were only operating with one ship. So yeah, we monitor the ice very closely, and the development of the ice and the development of the breakup through the summer season.
Great. Thank you. Karin, on the kayaking is a real draw for people for our expedition. And somebody has asked about is availability limited on kayaking? I know obviously there's been some developments recently on that front that you've been testing down south. So do you want to talk about that, please?
Yeah, it's not as limited as it used to be. Because we now have two programs. So we have a sea kayaking program, which we call Adventure Kayak, and then we have a discovery kayak program, which is a little bit more for those who are not super experienced kayakers. But what I think the discovery kayak program, which are like really sturdy inflatables, what that gives is a bit of autonomy back to our guests, because we, with our sea kayak program, you are in the best sense and the most safest sense herded with our kayak guides, and we take out a lot less volume. But with our discovery program, which we can run these two programs simultaneously, means that we can get out triple the numbers that we used to. And we have just tested. This has kind of been my purpose on board now. Has been to launch it, and we see already that we are able to take like a third of the vessel out in one day only, and maybe more into the future when we get really good at this. So I think for the kayaking program, for you who are a novice, so to speak, and just want to have a taste of it and want to paddle in your own tempo, go for the discovery program. And then if you are more a person who want to sort of reach from A to B, and you have a whole purpose of this, go for the sea kayaking adventure kayak program.
I think that the biggest limitation for us now on the kayak programs is the weather conditions. It's not about capacity. It's about the weather.
That's a very good point.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Verena, where is the best chance of seeing whales in the kind of Greenland Northwest Passage region? Is the question. I know obviously there's Happy Whale that you can use to actually research this as well, but
where or when, Ollie? Is it where or when?
Sorry, where? But I guess when would probably be interesting for the audience as well. So
yes, well, the ocean disco area, yes, it's one of the most richer area,
Yeah.
what rich
Nutrients.
nutrient waters where you will find a lot of whales. We did not talk about Alaska, but over there is also quite an abundance of whales. Otherwise, on around Svalbard, you do get to see also whales around Iceland. But talking about Disco Bay is also a good opportunity. So Disco Bay and Greenland around.
And on the just at the entrances of Scoresby Sound and the national park, also good places to see whales.
And the Beaufort Sea, bowhead whales.
Bowhead whales,
yeah. But that particular trip, departing from Reykjavik that goes through Prince William Sound and up to
Christian
Sound and up to.
Oh, good.
That is a good one for whale watching.
Yeah.
Great. And linked to that, there's questions around narwhales and beluga whales. So what the chances are of seeing them?
We specifically took out pictures of narwhal as well, because they are very, very sensitive. I mean, it is possible to see them, but they're very sensitive. So
I've seen them
acoustic,
once.
So very, it's possible, but rare. Beluga, a lot more common in Svalbard.
Yes.
Not so much in Greenland.
No.
Yeah.
And as Tudor says, when it comes to narwhal right now, this is a huge focus area for both the research and for underwater noise, because they're very sensitive to underwater noise. And we as an industry have to understand that we actually come with noise and underwater noise. So this, in the last annual general meeting for ECHO, for example, this has been declared as a area of particular concern / where we would like to invest a lot of focus in order to see what impact do we have actually as operators on our underwater noise and new things like dynamic positioning and so forth that increases the noise.
I would have to say part of the ship design of Armitage and Manson, underwater noise and acoustics was part of the design and initial studies we've done as some of our science projects. Our ships are incredibly quiet.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we are below the DNV standard actually.
Yeah.
But yet we are supporting European projects that are studying the noise produced by our engines and
particularly with narwhal in mind.
Yes.
Thank you very much. One final question. We're at time pretty much, but there's a couple of people asking about the HX Blue jackets. Are they water and wind resistant, and how do they compare to the previous red Helly Hansen jackets, and do they have the same rating? And you guys are the best people to answer this because you designed them, so here we go.
Yes, waterproof, yes, windproof. Are they better than the red ones?
Yes.
We think so.
100%.
5,000 meters.
and they're made from recycled materials, so we have less carbon emissions per jacket, and they have a slightly softer feel. Yeah. So they've gone down very well.
Very comfortable.
But they do demand that you maintain them to keep them waterproof over time, like any Gore-Tex jacket. The initial layer will not last forever, but then you need to re-impregnate them or
Fantastic. Okay, Ollie, is that it? Are we going to ask?
Yeah, we're at time.
People that at the end of this, then please do give us your feedback. There will be a survey when we press finish. So please give us your feedback. Thank you so much for listening, and we very much look forward to welcoming you on board in Greenland, Arctic Canada, or the Northwest Passage, or Antarctica,
or anywhere else.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.